Hope Hicks resigning, one of President Trump's closest and longest-serving advisors, resigning suddenly as communications director, roughly 24 hours after meeting with the House Intelligence Committee, where she admitted telling white lies on behalf of the president. A White House official tells CNN Hicks' resignation did not have anything to do with her testimony yesterday, but a source close to the president says he criticized her for admitting to telling lies on his behalf. Out front now, Republican Congressman from Florida, Tom Rooney, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman Rooney, you were in the room. Do you think Hicks' testimony had anything to do with her sudden departure from the White House?
I don't know. I mean, I read somewhere today that there was reports that she had told some of her friends a few days ago that she was talking about leaving. So, I mean, it may have played a role, but I'm not sure it was the determining factor. But I wouldn't blame her. The committee hearing yesterday lasted for 9 hours, and the one thing that got out that you've led this program with, that Hope Hicks lies for President Donald Trump, was obviously leaked by the Democratic side of the aisle to the media, and that has driven the news today. Not the 9 hours of testimony that she gave of her knowledge of what Russian collusion or lack thereof there may have been in the 2018 or 16 election cycle, but this one nugget. And that's why tonight I've asked our chairman, Conaway, that we need to end this investigation. It's been going on for a year. We've interviewed scores of witnesses, and now we've gotten to the point now where we're literally bringing people in for 9 hours just so the Democrats can leak to the press something as ridiculous as white lies, not having anything to do with the Russia investigation, but that drives the whole story for the whole next day.
So I want to ask you a couple questions, but let me just, because it is important, you know, and you were there, so you'll know. Our congressional reporter, Manu Raju, is saying that Hicks was pressed about whether she had ever lied for Trump in the room. She acknowledged she has had to tell what amount to white lies, but obviously white lies is the term being put about everywhere, Congressman. Do you remember what terms she actually used? Did she even use those words, or how exactly did she phrase it?
The question was, have you ever lied for the president? And which, as you know, is an extremely broad question. That could be like me telling a staffer to tell somebody that's calling me on the phone that I'm not here. That would be asking my staffer to lie for me. So that would include what the question being asked was. So I actually chimed in at that moment and said, can we please specify as to whether or not you're asking her if she's ever lied for the president with regard to the Russia investigation, her testimony here, or anything that she said during this testimony, because then that would be an impeachable, in a courtroom, that would be impeaching the witnesses that she's not truthful. And of course, to that, she said that she has not lied with regard to any of those things. So then the question was, so you're talking about white lies, and then she repeated that. It wasn't exactly in that time frame, but that's how the term white lies came out.
I understand. So someone else used the word, she did then repeat it, but what you're saying is she was, make sure I understand, she was
It was a trap, Aaron. It was a trap, and that's what our investigation
But
has
I just want to make the point. You're saying she was explicitly saying she had never lied about anything related to the Russia investigation or collusion or anything else as part of the answer. That's what you're saying.
But that's not been in the news at all today. And that's what our investigation has become. That I've never gone on TV, Aaron, by the way, to talk about the Russia investigation because I don't think it's appropriate. But I'm coming on today because it needs to end. If we have reduced ourselves so far to get to the point now where we're just leaking stuff like this, rinky-dink things like Hope Hicks tells white lies for her boss, then we have gone completely off the rails, and this investigation needs to end.
So let me ask you, the Washington Post report is reporting the special counsel is now looking in detail into the president's comments, state of mind, when it appeared he was determined to oust Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. And obviously, you know the back and forth between the two gentlemen today. Do you think none of that is legitimate or a possible obstruction of justice? I know that may be perhaps beyond the purview of which your committee is looking at, which perhaps is what you're specifically referring to. Or are you also trying to say that there's just no there at all? You think Bob Mueller's full of it too?
No, I have no comment, or I don't want to imply at all that whatever Mr. Mueller is doing is somehow legitimate or illegitimate. That is a completely separate criminal investigation that has nothing or should have nothing to do with the House Intelligence Committee investigation, which has 4 parameters, which we've talked about ad nauseum, that deal with the intelligence community. And in our investigation over the last year, we have had not one witness come forward or interviewed that has given us any evidence of collusion, conspiracy, coordination between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. Not one. And so now we're basically going through the motions and we're trying to find tabloid type news to give to you guys that becomes the driving news cycle of the day, and that needs to end. But with regard to Mr. Mueller, I don't want to make any mistake. His investigation is his investigation, and I'll just leave it at that.